What's up, everybody? It's Herschel Fraun from High School Top 200, and this is the Top 200 podcast. And we're getting ready for a pretty big week of rugby, um, with everyone pretty much coming down to their finals. Obviously, cancellations with the 1A and hopefully North Harbour carry on. I heard there's little talks of trying to get a few more games in, and then whatever points they finish on, that's what they finish on. Hopefully, something like that happens because I still want to watch rugby from up there. I still want to see Westlake boys and Rosmini and Rewa play. I still want to see those guys compete, and I still want to see seniors get their last games in. To me, it's really special. I think it's really special as well that everyone gets to finish off, I guess, their first 15 career the way that they want to. I guess the way that they dreamed, and sort of wrote it up mentally in their mind how they're going to finish off their career. But yeah, there's a lot of things that I kind of want to talk about as well, and what's going on around New Zealand in terms of first 15 rugby, even other sports. Like other sports are coming up as well, and so I want to talk about them too. Obviously, the NFL is coming up, and also the Mitre 10 Cup is coming up. I want to start watching the Mitre 10 Girls Cup play, the Farah, I'm not even too sure what it's called, but I want to start watching them play as well. And then just seeing how that league is and the talent that they have as well. Obviously, first off, with being, if you haven't been on this website or you haven't been on this YouTube page, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that other kind of stuff. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what all the talking points are and where you think I'm right and where you think I'm wrong. And we can just readdress it in like another video. Obviously, ask me questions. I like answering questions. A lot of stuff that I get asked by people, but obviously they don't want their name on the question. But then I sort of answer it in what I say anyway, and just make sure that they get the answer that they're looking an answer that they are looking for from their questions, so I can do that as well. So even if you don't want to be mentioned, just send me the question and then I'll answer it within my rambles that I do on here anyway. Obviously, we've already had a game in the UC Championship, and we'll start off there with Nelson College playing Timaru boys, and Timaru winning for the first time up there in Nelson, which is not an easy place to play, especially after the travel. All of that kind of stuff adds up, hey, and like people don't really understand it. A lot of Aucklanders don't understand it. I've talked about this before, where they don't have to deal with travel and really understanding what away games are or consistent away games are. But that travel from Timaru to Nelson is a pretty steep one. Remember last year I went from Blenheim down to Timaru and back just in one day just to watch that under 18s Highlanders and under 18 Crusader game. And lucky I had my cousin Gustav with me, and me and him could talk for ages, just about anything. And so lucky he was with me, and it was his first time down to the South Island, so it was pretty cool just to see what was going on and see what it was like, that kind of stuff. And so yeah, pretty good win there by Nelson, by Timaru boys. The other game that was played was Cambridge High School against Fraser, and that was for the Tricolor Cup, which is like the Tricolor Trophy, which is one that's played here in Waikato. And Cambridge held that one 46-5. And now we get into Super 8. All right, so starting with the Super 8, right, we have Hamilton boys, who are the number one team in the country. We have them going against Napier boys, which is a big deal. And then I write about it as well, like if you haven't had a look at it, but I wrote about it last night. And the way that I think that it's going to happen. And the way that the way that I think Napier can win this game. Obviously, everybody is picking Hamilton boys, but I feel like there's always a way. Not in every scenario there's going to be a way, but in this scenario, I think there is a way. I mean, Hamilton boys can be beat. Hamilton boys have been close to being beat. Like Palmy boys almost did it. New Plymouth boys got close. And so there is a way that they can be done. I just give my perspective and my my thoughts on how I think Napier can do it, and what I think that they can do to sort of get close to doing it. I pick Hamilton Boys to win, but to me, Napier's not a team that is just an easy knockover, and I think that there is a chance that they can do it tomorrow. I don't think they're going to do it, but there is a chance, and so that's what I write about them and the other in my write up that I did yesterday, last night's one. Um, so just have a look at that, see what you think. New Plymouth Boys versus Gisborne. Um, New Plymouth Boys is going to win this one. I don't give Gisborne too much of a chance of winning this, but it's got nothing to do like it's just the lack of experience in this team. Oh no, not the lack of experience. I'm saying it's more like the gap of experience in this team because you got a lot of old guys in this team, then you got a bunch of young fellas, and then these young guys in the team are just too. To me, it's just too young. But they have to make up that gap somewhere, and so this is kind of where I think they're going to be making up that gap. Is that they've picked a really old team as well as combined it with a really young team, and then that middle part they just have to fill in somehow. Um, and so that's something that has been too hard for Gisborne to sort of make up. And I feel, uh, I mean, Amos Roddick is obviously a guy that plays his heart out every single game, and I hope he comes. To me, I hope he comes back next year. I don't know what his plans are, but even this year, like even if you watch that Hamilton Boys game, Amos was always playing 100% right down to the end. Um, and you watch him right to the last try. He was just going. He was trying to save everything, and that's what I love about this guy. And obviously, if you put him in a different situation in a different team this year, he and what he can, what he would be able to achieve in a better team that he has this year, in Gisborne Boys, we would be talking about him in a different way, and that's just the honest truth. There's a lot of guys that don't make it because they're not in the right team or situation. And just for right now, Amos is just not in the right team in the right situation. If he was on Hamilton Boys, we'd be talking about him as like a New Zealand secondary school prospect, which I think he is, but he's on sort of on the outside of that. Um, there's still guys like Jordan Hutchinson, who Hutchings, who is one of those guys. Um, that I think should be in that open side situation. The same as with Fletcher Anderson will be another one that's in that open side situation that I think needs to be talked about as well. And so Amos is just one of those discussions, and maybe a little bit on the outside of that discussion. And if he was in a different situation, maybe he would get a bit close. It's just one of those kind of. It's just not his fault, but that's just what he's been dealt with right now. So, um, yeah, if he comes back, it would be great. If he comes back, then it would be really good to see him back next year, and because he has a young year 13, and so he has that option and I guess opportunity to do that. The next game is Rotorua, who's ranked 15th. They're playing Hastings Boys. I think this is the closest game. This will be the closest game in the Super 8, in the last round of the Super 8 right now. This is the closest game with Rotorua and Hastings Boys. And Hastings could win this game. This is going to be a really close game. And then to me, it's because I think they really match up well. That's the other problem, is that they match up with a team like Rotorua Boys, and I think they have the players there to do it. Ollie Aldius is one, obviously. Then you got Andrew Hayward, who's another one who's obviously there. Um, obviously they have Cooper Flanders there, who's another one. And then you've got that front row that they have, and they've been switching it out and changing them around a bit. And I think Hastings just have a shot. And if Hastings win, this is not an upset. It's not an upset. Even though the rankings are a bit off and there's a bit difference, like there's, to be honest, having a team ranked number 10 and having a team ranked number 30, the differences between those in terms of points is maybe 8 to 10 points in most cases. It's not that far apart, even though that rankings looks like it's that far apart. It's really not. It's not that bad. And Hastings is maybe 7 points. There's only like a try in it. Maybe not even a full converted try. It's like maybe just the try, like 5 points. And so when you talk about it in that way, and you sort of look it up in those situations, and you go, well, they can't have a bad game. Rotorua can't have a bad game. Hastings just needs to play their game and the structures that they have, and they already have the talent there as well. So I think that it's going to be one of those situations that it's probably going to come down to the last 10 minutes of that game, and if Rotorua is winning at that point, they just have to hold it. They just have to hold it. They don't have to. They don't have to push the line on them trying to, I guess, score more points. They just need to play smart rugby, play down the other end of the field, and to defend as much as they can. If points come out of it through their defense and applying pressure, getting penalties within a range that they can kick, then that's fine. They don't need to keep pushing for points and then sort of overrunning it and then having Hastings return a try, because they can. Hastings will return a try. Hastings, on the other hand, if they have the win, they have to play a structured game of still trying to score a try. They have to play that same game plan that they're playing the whole game and spread it out, because if they try and muscle it through Rotorua boys and try the forward thing, I think Rotorua boys would win that battle at the rucks. They just got too many big boys, too many guys that work, with Takahashi and Whanua, and especially with someone like Jordan. They got to keep it away from Jordan. They got to keep him tied up. You can't let Jordan over that ball. Jordan will give you some penalties. He's kind of like, he's kind of like Vivini as well, where Vivini, from Tauranga Boys, he'll give away penalties, but he'll steal some really important ball and stop some really big plays, and they just chance it. And Jordan's the same way. And so when you get into those situations, it's just like, yeah, I'll rather play our superstars and get our superstars in position. Same with Hastings. I got to make sure that superstar does not get into this position and keep the ball away from him. If he's around the ball, play it on the other side of the field. If he gets across, play it on the other side of the field. Don't chance anything. Don't make anything too difficult. No complicated, no complicated plays or formations or anything. Just spread the ball and contain it on one side. Maybe just play 2 4-packs, have the middle kind of free, and then just watch Jordan go back and forth. Jordan's stuck on one side and he stays on the other side. Cool, just leave him over there and just play the ball on that side till he comes over. Then just send it back on the other side. Don't let him around the ball. That's the way I would play it anyway if I was Hastings Boys and I was in the lead and there was about 10 minutes left. It's pretty much just keep away from him. Rotorua, I think, will win this game, but it's not going to be a surprise if Hastings pull this game off. Palmy versus Tauranga, I put Palmy in there. I saw that Curtis Palmer was injured. He had his hand in a sling. Josh, I think, is also injured as well, which doesn't help for them to lose your best prop and to lose your best lock and maybe your best player. I think Vivini's been out for a few weeks, I think, now, which is another one that just... the last game I saw him play was the Tauranga one. He didn't play, so... sorry, not Tauranga. The Gisborne game was the last game I saw Vivini play, and then he went off early. And so it doesn't really help Tauranga boys. and Palmy seem pretty fit right now, and everyone's kind of playing good. And they've been losing some close games, but I don't think this is a game that they're going to lose. And so I give this one to Palmy, maybe about 11 plus, something like that. I would pick those kind of numbers, 11 plus on that game. Um, and it's going to be interesting too, man. Like the Super 8 is the way that it's finishing. Um, and the talent that they have to me has really kept up this season and the way that it's been going. Because all of those teams have, I guess, apart from Gisborne Boys, have been performing really well, and there haven't been any real massive blowouts unless you were playing Gisborne Boys. Obviously, with the I guess the selection of players that they have and bringing in all these young guys, but that's kind of rugby. You have to rebuild at some point. Um, but yeah, it's been great watching them play. Um, the next competition, I think, is the one that is in Waikato Comp, having Tukaro play there, Kaukaroa, who I still don't know where that school is here in Hamilton, or if it's in Hamilton, or if it's a like Ngātai Aotea kind of school where it's like a total immersion school. I don't even know where they are, to be honest. No idea. Seeing the uniform, don't really know where they're from. Um, but they have been playing pretty good within this competition. I still give it to Tokoro High School because they do have a lot of really good league players that play there and play rugby. Same with Forest View. And so I'll give that game to Tokoro, and I think they're going to win that one. I think Forest View is probably going to win over Morrinsville. Morrinsville have been playing good though, but oh wait. Morrinsville have won some big games. Actually, no. I'll change my mind. I'll give this one to Morrinsville. I think Morrinsville is going to win this game. Te Aomuru play Fraser High School, and I think Te Aomuru will win that, and I think Cambridge will win against Matamata. Matamata College, and Cambridge is coming, even though I've played a game already at the beginning of the week, I still think that they're going to be able to play Matamata, who's also really good and have really lifted from the season, and they just need more games. I wish they had more games, but I think it's just one of those things where you just kind of have to deal with the ones that have. Maybe that Waikato comp and maybe like the second division of the Bay of Plenty should probably maybe play games together, or maybe mash that competition together. Because I mean, they got Tokoro in there, and they got Forest View in there, they got Matamata in there. I mean, why not? Why not have Tikawiti and Otrahanga in there as well, and then bring in like John Paul and Papa Moore and Trident and that's down in Whakatane and Tapuki, and maybe have, because they're all around the same rankings anyway. They're all in sort of that kind of mix, and I don't know, like throw Rotorua Boys second 15 and Tauranga Boys second 15 in there too, and have them in there. Maybe have some combined teams, and see what happens with that as well, and see if they can bring some real good talent in there and make a stronger competition, something like that. Obviously, the money, and I'm not talking about money or anything like that, but uh, at least in terms of competition, that would be a good idea to have, because you have enough strong teams there. I mean, even Western Heights High School is going to be there too, and they're a really strong team. I mean, um, if you keep it to those teams within that area, especially with the Bay of Plenty and Waikato and some King Country as well. I mean, maybe you can build another team. Taupo Nuiatea is also in that area, and maybe making a combined team there to bring a stronger team. Will add to a lot more competition. Yes, the travel is going to be a little bit longer, but I think the decent games come out of it. And then with the decent games and decent teams, maybe you can get a lot more boys within the Chiefs. The Chiefs under 18s reps you'll get from these two competitions, joining them together and just breeding better talent from better games from those smaller schools. and that's the problem that a lot of smaller places happens, that they don't really have other first 15s that are the same kind of talent level as them. They're either playing first 15 that is way too good for them and they're getting blown out by 60 points, or they're playing the third 15 or fourth 15 that they also don't really get that much out of because they beat them easily. And I always, and I don't know whether this is just because I haven't really played. I guess because like at church college we only played first 15s. We never played any second 15s, and I don't know. I kind of find it weird that if a first 15 is playing a second 15 or third 15, I understand why they do it. I just think it's strange personally that you have games like that. And so to me, it's like, why not? Why not have those kind of games? I mean, Acunis there over in Bay of Plenty have some really good players in that team that need better competition. I think some of the boys in that team, they just need better competition. So maybe that is something to think about. I don't know. I'm just spitballing and just giving my knowledge of it, and of course the funding side on travel and all that kind of stuff is going to be part of it. But maybe they can work something out with both unions to get more better players out of it. I mean, that's what the unions always talk about is building up talents within the areas. And so why wouldn't the Chiefs and the Waikato and Bay of Plenty all get together and say, well, yeah, let's run something from here. Maybe you could get our own camp just out of that one competition with those level teams. I mean, surely if I covered it really that close with just those teams alone, I would pick out a bunch of guys that could probably all play Super Rugby. They're just all spread out in different teams. But yeah, maybe something like that. The CNI is down to their finals. So after this, Whanganui Collegiate obviously will start preparing for their quad tournament, which I'm so gutted that I can't even go down to anymore because I'll just be wasting my time, pretty much traveling down there just to see my cousin who lives in Motueka and, not even able to, go to the games or anything like that. And so that's a bit gutting. But after this, Whanganui Collegiate will travel down to the quad and play Nelson, Christ's, and Wellington College, which is such a good quad tournament. I love that quad tournament. Went last year and is gutted that I couldn't go this year. So after this, they're going to be going down there. But the finals for 1 and 2 are St. Paul's Collegiate and St. Peter's School, Cambridge. Two really, really strong schools. I think I said this before, where St. Paul's have the better forwards, St. Peter's have the better backs, and they just have to find that plateau of our forwards can match up as close as possible, so our backs can actually be used as weapons. Then on the other side, St. Paul's is like, we're going to dominate this forward pack so much that we're just going to let our backs just run through your backs and just have the cleanest opportunities to attack. That's kind of how it's going to be. Havila's just too good. Quinton Cotton's been playing so mean. Malachi Rappling is back. And then you still got the trio of Joel, Nia Church, and then you still got Lincoln there as well. And those three have been playing so good throughout this year. And then with Malachi coming back from injury, slipping in at luck because Joel's been playing so good, they've been able to maintain that, and that beef in that forward pack is so good. And I think that I'm not too sure. I was thinking about it today too, and how I guess St. Paul's Collegiate can sort of win this. And I mean, I kind of do it all the time anyway. When I think about teams and when I think about scenarios, and I always look at it from the standpoint of the team, and I go, well, if this was my team, how would I kind of do this? And just from looking at St. Paul's Collegiate and then what they've got, um, especially in that forward pack, when you got someone like Campbell Robb, who is a young year 13 at hooker, who I hope comes back again, because I think he's gonna be. I think he can be a really big deal if he came back again. And he had another full year at hooker, because I think he can also. I think last year he played a bit of blindside, and he wasn't really. I guess he really didn't have a set position that they were comfortable. Not that they were comfortable, but they just kept switching him around. But just seeing him at hooker this year, as a hooker that is really mobile and fast, I think he needs to pack on a little bit more muscle, and then that's the kind of um, player that you want going into club rugby, and then maybe into development for Waikato or something like that, or whoever picks him up, because he is a really quick player who has a bunch of mongrel in him, who does a lot of hard work. He's not flash at all, but I think he just needs that little bit of more, maybe gym time. Or maybe it's just like late blooming. Maybe it's just genetics that he just has to wait for it to kick in. But just in terms of skill wise, I don't think that he's far off. He's not. He's not out of place when it comes skill wise. And so when you look at Campbell Robb, and then you have Havila, who to me is obvious. I mean, if there was a New Zealand secondary school and he didn't get picked, they all got to punch themselves in the face because they can't see it. To me, there's him and Mason Tupaia, and then Monu Molly is the other one, who, to me, in terms of props, just the props alone, are obvious picks. I feel like they're obvious picks. And I don't know how you would not see that. I don't know. I don't know. To me, New Zealand secondary schools has really butchered some players in the past, and really butchered some of their selections. And I I've always just thought, let me see your report. What do you guys see that I'm not seeing? What is that? And then usually their picks don't even go on to like under 20s or anything like that, where the ones that I have picked, they have moved on to under 20s. And so I just kind of like think like, well, what is your guys' reports? And then let me see what you guys, because I don't see that. Whatever you guys are seeing, I'm not seeing that same thing. But I mean, he's just one of those guys. So having Havila there, obviously, having that running game that he has, is not a hard guy to put, not a hard guy to take and put down, and he just destroys a lot of defenses. And when he goes 100 in the scrums every single time, um, that front row is going to struggle from St. Peter's School. They're just not going to. It's not a lack of trying. It's just one of those guys. It's just like, he's just too big and strong. I don't know what else you want me to do. Play dead, or whatever, or I don't know, like low blow him when you go, in cages, like punch him or something. I don't know what you want him to do, because it's like he's just not that easy to stop. It's just like, I'm not big enough. I'm not strong enough. I don't have that great of a technique to be able to battle him. And even if I did, he's just too physically strong. Like, even when I used to prop, I wasn't great technically. I knew what to do, but I wasn't great technically. But at the same time, if I got out technique and I could feel it on the engage, then I just used to just physically dominate them, because I was so, I was like 125 kgs and 6'4", 6'5" almost. And I just thought, oh shoot, I'll just lean on this guy and put everything on him, and then I'll just push through him. And that's kind of how I used to get out of it. Like if I played into club rugby with that same energy, I would have got wasted by some of these men. So there's just some guys that are like that. We're just like, I just can't do anything. He's just too big. If Havila scrummed for the full 70 minutes and never took breaks, that's what he'll be doing to the squad, and they just wouldn't have a shot. They wouldn't have a chance. Fake an injury and just be like, oh, we'll fake 2 injuries so we have props and we'll just go golden oldies. Something like that. You got to get so technical about it if you want to go that way. But that's what I think about that. Quinton Collins been playing too good. He's another one that I think is kind of overlooked. And with Quinton, his one is more injuries. He gets injured a lot, and I'm so happy that this year for him, in the games that he's played, he's come out pretty clean, and he's been able to play 100% the whole game and still come out injury free, which is great for him. And at the next level, I think he's going to be a 6. I don't think he'll be a lock, but I think he'll be a really good 6. And so, in the terms of those guys winning that game, St. Paul's to me they just have to be brutally strong, brutally physical, and just blow these guys off the park, and then just have their backs have free range with attack and just giving them all the time in the world to do it. And then they're just going to have to make sure that Quinlan and Blake, Dawson Quinlan and Blake, they have to work as much as they can on defense and make them defend. Tie up all their loose forwards and stuff by trying to stuff and make those guys defend. That's how I would do it. I would make sure that Ben Strang and also Anadu Painga Morgan at 9 and 10 just play mind games with those guys. Have them come up real fast because they have to shut down quick and just play just behind them with kicks. Whether you're going to just chip it over a little bit or like a flat kick over the top or just put little side grubbers and have Caleb and Jay sort of running through. This is Caleb Wick and James Broomfield just running through and just playing that space just behind them. Because I have a feeling that Cash Farmer, because he's year 10, he still doesn't really know. But I have a feeling he's going to be back deep waiting for those long kicks down from Ben Strang and Anadu. But I would play him, make him move up, or have him make all the tackles as a young kid. Because he's year 10. He may, sort of test his age. Sort of make him know that he's a year 10. And kind of in a mean way as well, right? Get Dawson and Quinlan to get angry at him and tell him to move up and play it that way. I'm not saying that that's what they'll do, but I mean, like, at some point you're going to say, well, if we're moving up quick trying to shut them down and they're playing right behind us, either you move up or something else, or get them to get angry at the loose forwards if they're getting tied up, like have them have that argument. And then, St. Paul's just have that free range, and Matthew Johnson he played one of the meanest games that I saw last Saturday. And if he can, I guess, duplicate that again and have a part 2 of, his part 1 game from last week, he was involved in 4 tries, I think, and did he score 1 or 2? But like, if he was there as well, getting him involved, making sure that he can, I guess, be a part of all that attacking, it would be pretty mean, just to have him in there as well. On the other side, I guess, if I was on the other side with St. Peter's, and obviously you would want I guess you would want them. You would want your backs to have all the opportunities in the world and have a little bit of space. And to me, honestly, is that's not realistic, right? To me, it's not realistic that you're going to give your backs a lot of time because the forwards they just don't match up well. They're too young. They got next year they'll be fine because they got a bunch of year 12s in this forward pack, but I think when you have the ball, play every ruck really quickly, and I think you're going to have to run a lot of dummy runners. Show a lot, show a lot of potential attacks, show a lot of, I guess, direction changes with runners that are coming through, and then make St. Paul's kind of confused at what you're doing and get them to make the mistake and then open up their own lanes within their back line and then just play off their reactions, play off um, of what they do, and then just have, I guess, the quick sense to either show and go or draw and pass, and then having people changing their angles and coming through some of those gaps. Um, if you have Maya, like, because Maya's going to be at halfback. Well, I think, and I don't know what their lineup is, but if it's Maya, Dawson, Maya at halfback, Dawson at first five, Quinlan Tupou that's at second five. Then you have Blake Marketing at centre. You'll have Justin Villa Reynolds on one wing, who I think is going to be the guy that should be finishing off a lot of these movements. And I would love to see him get the ball one on one because he's so big and strong and really fast that I think that Quinlan and Blake should really have him play off them a lot, especially with Blake. Um, and have Blake draw those guys and just have him come on an angle, have him play maybe on the outside and just get him a little bit one on one with maybe a bit of space out on the blind and try and get him the ball. And if the forwards can just tie them up for a little bit or get quick enough ball to give them a chance, I think to get some kind of play, even if their forwards are kind of spread out on defense, still run through the players. They have talented enough guys to, um, I guess, adjust and to find those open gaps. Dawson's smart as hell. Quinlan's smart as hell. Blake is smart as hell, and so all three of them have got to set something up. And Maya George is really quick out of the blocks. Maybe he'll be the key to finding some of those gaps or drawing some of those guys in, and maybe even at the rucks or the base of the rucks in the scrums to maybe press up a bit, play forward and pass, and just try and keep those guys on the edge of those rucks, those forwards on the edge of those rucks, really committed to making those stops, and then maybe that'll draw a lot of that line across so that you start playing into some of those gaps in the back line. Jonty Short is probably going to be one of the most important ones as an open side. I feel like if he would just insert himself a lot more on offense, because he is really fast, he can carry the ball and he's a strong kid. But you can't really leave it all to Andrew Smith or to Diesel or to Shea to take those hit ups. I think Jonty has to take a lot of that as well. And fine on defense, but on offense, I think that he should take a lot more ball up and maybe try and just get those sneaky runs that open sides usually get off, off offloads and things like that. And he's definitely fast and fit enough to keep up with the play. And so maybe look at something like that happening and getting involved in a different way in that game. But they're definitely going to need everybody to. Definitely going to need everyone to play. They're going to definitely need everybody to be on their best game as best as possible. Like, it's hard to get everyone in sync, but the best teams kind of do it, and I guess the best team that does that on the day is probably going to win. I have St. Paul's winning, and I think it's not going to be like, I think it's going to be like maybe it's 26-22 to St. Paul's. Yeah, about 26-22 to St. Paul's. And I think it's going to be a non-stop action. I think it's going to be sort of down to the wire kind of ones as well. So, that'll be a good one. I think even with the fielding game against Whanganui is going to be the same kind of thing. I think it's going to be the same approach where Harry Godfrey, to me, and I've been talking about him with a few guys, and um, as a young year 13, I think if he comes back, it's going to be five first fives, all gunning for one number 10 jersey. Because even this year, I think Harry, if there's a selection, would be making. He has a strong case to be making that New Zealand secondary schools team as a first five. Him and Adam Lennox have done so good this year as a 9 and 10. Obviously, because I've known each other since they were something like 9 or 10 or something like that, playing together, and so obviously they have that connection. But both of them have been so aggressive. That's what it is. I like that they're that aggressive when they play. I like it that they don't care. They don't care who's in front of them. They challenge them every time. They look at the players in front of them and they don't go, well, I'm just going to shy away from this. They go, well, I see a gap and I see that he's bigger, so let me just take him out just a little bit and then I'll see if I can take him around the outside. Or they try and beat them to the first two steps, like if they go, well, I'm just going to try and be quicker than him. I'm going to hit that gap before he even moves. And Adam is so quick when he does this at halfback, is that Adam will just fire and he'll just take off. And it takes someone like Sean and them and Harry and Sean and them to sort of be kind of on the ball every single time he's around. And you have to be paying attention to what he's doing. Because if Adam takes off, he's going to be by himself because he's so fast. Those guys just have to take off with him, and then they just have to be ready to be like, Adam looks like he's going to take off. This looks like one of those opportunities when he takes off, and then they just have to be ready to go. Harry's kind of the same thing, is that once Harry gets the ball, he'll see like an angle that he knows that he can get to, and he'll just go and he'll just take it. Waka's another one at centers that once Waka breaks those that hit into the line, it's once he breaks that tackle at center, he takes those first two steps and then he's gone again. Like he generates so much power off that first contact and getting his like retaining his speed or gathering his speed back. It only takes him a few steps to get out there. So like if you have any guys running cover on that, especially those open sides, if Wack is the guy there, you have to hit him. You can't let him go or else he's just going to make it so much harder for you and probably take you guys for a try. And so he's probably one of the guys that I would look to as, I guess, a guy that you would want to stop, that you don't really want to let go. Is Adams there at halfback? Then you have Harry, Godfrey at first five, and then second five you have Sean, and then Walker's at center. I don't. The forwards are a bit different because the forwards are kind of young, right? The forwards for Wanganui, Whanganui are really young. Conrad Newland is, to me, is probably the best year 11 prop that we have in the country right now. And he's been playing so good next to Leo Allen, who's lifted his game really, really, he's just lifted his game higher this year than he did last year. Getting a lot more opportunities to run the ball that Leo does, that to me what he wasn't doing last year. His scrums have gotten a whole lot better. And that's why I kind of see him as one of the top props who are playing, who are in form right now. He's not the most talented, but he's the one that's playing, who's the in form prop right now. And it's only a matter of time that if he is consistent in the way that he plays, that it doesn't become in form, it becomes him. And that's just his play in the way that he is. And that's kind of what a point that you kind of want to get to. But They're 6, 7, and 8 with Tiana Prophet, who is at blindside. Then they have the boy Pease, Thomas Pease, and then they have Yosef. What's his last name? Yosef Fijian kid. Let me look this up. Namosi Namosi Malua. Namosi Malua is Sifa's last name. And so those three are all going to come back, and there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Think 5 or 6. 6 of the starting 8 are going to be back next year. So this team, in terms of forward pack, are going to be really, really crucial, and they're going to be really important for the development of this year going into next year. And so having this 3 and 4, third and fourth game against Fielding High School is not only just important for this year but also for next year, because they're going to bring back that same mentality and that same strength and attitude, and remembering what they did last year. They already beat Fielding 2 weeks ago, and they don't think they're going to lose again. And I kind of have that same feeling where maybe they don't lose again. You know, Sean O'Leary's been playing really, really good at second five, and I think that it's not just because he has Adam Lennox and also Harry Godfrey and also Waka outside of him. It's that he's also playing really good as well on defense, where he's starting to, I guess, pick off plays early. I think it is what it is, and he's starting to playing that one-on-one game. I guess with a lot more confidence, and I think that at the beginning of the year, it kind of maybe it was overshadowing, and to me fell off a little bit at the beginning of the year, but is starting to bring that back again over the last 2, 3 games. And that's just from what I see. That's just what my opinion is anyway of it. And because he'll be back next year as well, because he's only year 12. He's another guy that is going to be really crucial to these guys as well, and what happens. On the fielding side of it, they're just going to have to, after 2 losses in a row, I think they're just going to have to build their confidence back. And with such a good coaching staff that they have, not just coaching staff, but then I guess the environment that they have down there in fielding, it's always so positive and it's always so uplifting, and they definitely do the job within their school as well. Obviously, they have one of the sharpest backlines talent-wise in the country, because they have guys like John T. Stewart, who's obviously one of the best first fives that we have right now, and has been so consistent over the last few years. Then they have Kyle Brown, they have Moape Rokosuka, who's the other one, Terrence Graham. Then what's the halfback's name? Josh Home. And then they have Jackson Lees, who is also on the other wing, and then Falesu, who's going to be the other second five. All of those guys in the back line are pretty much all proven guys. They've just got to kind of put it together. They've just got to make sure that every chance that they have to attack, that when they're attacking with the same, I guess, not conviction, because I don't want to say that they're not putting enough conviction into it, but they're just not running the same as I'm kind of used to seeing them run. And I don't know what it is that they've lost, but they've lost it. They did really good at the beginning of the year. They beat Napier Boys at the beginning of this year, um, and kind of just carried it on. Lost by 1 point, I think it was, to Hastings Boys, and after that, never lost a game until 2 weeks ago when they lost to Whanganui Collegiate, and then lost to St. Paul's last week, and then now they have to sort of redeem themselves to get Whanganui, and it's not like they don't have the squad to do it. AJ Lawano is probably another guy that I've really, really liked watching after the past 3 games that I've seen him in, and I am pretty convinced that this guy is going to be a really big deal next year. And moving from Whanganui High School, not collegiate, but high school, Whanganui High School to Fielding High School has done massive, massive amounts for him and his confidence and also his skill level. So great move by him. Ngāpuki at Patea, who's going to be probably playing at lock with Dana. Then you got Javaya, Liam Hill, guys like that. They have enough guys. I don't know what it is. They have enough guys, and they just have to put it together. The backline has to lead them, and I think that's where it's going to be, is from that backline. I don't know. Just figure it out, I guess. I guess that's all it really is. Because it's not talent. Talent to me is not that at all. The game down in Wellington is probably going to be a real important one, and that's the Silverstream one against Scots College. Silverstream, who's ranked the top 10 right now in the country, and then Scots, who have sort of built their way back into the top 25 ranking, and they're sitting at 14 right now. And I think at the beginning of the year, and sort of even as much as maybe a month ago, I probably would have said that Silverstream would run over Scots, but I'm not so convinced anymore about that and the way that it's going, because I feel like Scots has I guess found that vibe and confidence and rhythm that their team needs. And with guys like Dom, who've been playing really good, Jonty's played good, Hans has played really good, Myers played really good, and I really like the way he's playing. Sione is running better at number 8. And so, like, to me, something has clicked over for these guys, and they're starting to play like the guys that I ranked top 10 when the season was starting. And then they had terrible games against Rongotai, where they tied. They had another bad. They had something like 3 bad games all in preseason, and even though I was told that they were moving players around and whatever, I was just like, yeah, okay, but not for such a talented side. I just thought that it was strange that they were they were being matched by teams that I didn't even think were close to them. And if that is the case, it's like if you guys have 3 injuries to whoever, that's going to be a pretty big hole to fill, I think, for a private school like that. And if depth is the real problem, then hopefully you guys got a really good, medical staff there that can, heal you guys a lot faster and keep you guys healthy and all that kind of stuff, because it sounds like one loss and you guys are going to be struggling, really struggling. But yeah, I think that, all the guys that I said, like Jonty, Dom, Maya, Hans, even Cody's playing really good as well. Siona's playing really good. But then even in the back line, we have a Ryan who's playing at second 5. I really liked Eric Lawson, who was playing at centre just this past week against Wellington College. I thought he did really well. Yeti is a different breed of player, and I don't know how long he's injured for if he's going to be playing, but yet he's going to um, as a year 11 as no, he's not better than Francis. No, I'm not going to say that. He's not better than Francis, but solid number two pick. Yeah, I would have him at that. Um, but yeah, that backline is really coming together good, and I think uh, I mean, to me, it's Riley. Riley Higgins is the problem. Riley Higgins has been a problem for pretty much everybody that has played Silverstream. Um, I've really wished that maybe the day was a bit better when Silverstream went to Palmy and played them because having Riley and Luffel play against each other, I think would have been pretty mean to see. I really think would have been a real mean game to see those two go at each other on a nice day, good running rugby, and both of them having a go at each other. Because Riley and Luffel, as centers right now to me, are probably the best that are playing right now. This is not including the 1A guys who are not playing. But I mean, if you chucked guys like for center, it would probably be Fihi Whanganofo from Auckland Grammar, and it'll be Luffel and Riley will um, probably my top three mid centers, not midfielders, centers. Because even in terms of midfielders, you still have Hayward, you still have Andrew Hayward from Hastings Boys, you still have um, Quinlan Tupou from St. Paul's School. You have those two. Um, I guess probably a few other players that I'm forgetting right now. But those guys would probably be the main ones. Um, and I think just seeing how it all plays out, and I guess, well, I think Felix might be a guy that you might want to chuck in there from St. Thomas. Faatili was probably another one who I think is probably pushing for that centre spot, or maybe even second five, if anything. Maybe having him at crash ball. I mean, if I was the Crusaders, I'd be doing that. Actually, if I was any franchise, I'd be going after him right now and just lure him away from league. I know that he's a league player, but I mean, like, um, there's been plenty of guys that were league players that switched to rugby and made it. So, um, Felix would probably be one of those guys that I would probably have a look at. And he's year 12 too, and he definitely going to come back. Jaden Stock, sorry, he would probably be another one. Whether he's still going to be a midfielder or if you're going to look at him as being a winger or fullback, because he did pretty good at fullback too, but he'll probably be another guy. But Silverstream still have a lot of guys. They still have, I think, guys that they're probably going to be running through some tests. Because you still got Peter Lakai at number 8. You still got Emmanuel Solomona, who's probably coming off the bench. You still got Mitch Southall or Southall, or I'm not too sure how to pronounce his name. Is it Southall or Southall? I don't know. Marco Vence is still there. Sunil Sarnella, who's a year 11 prop, who I like a lot, and I think he's going to be a pretty good player over the next couple of years, and if he stays on it. But all these kind of guys that are in it, Lockie Forbes, TJ Clark, Luke Wormsley, Junior Paulo, and then Tony Solomon as well, who's going to be on the wing. And I think that's probably going to be his position now on the wing. Those guys, against these guys from Scots, I'm not too sure who's... Silverstream is consistent. Okay, so Silverstream is consistent, and they're holding their spot. They're holding their place. And Scots are getting better and better every game. Now, when it clashes, I don't know who's going to be on top. I'm just picking Scots. I'm just picking Silverstream because they are the higher ranked and been more consistent. And I like consistency. But when you have a team like Scots that are on the rise and getting better every week, and that's their consistency, I'm not necessarily waiting for them to peak, but is this going to be the place where they peak? Where they ran through Wellington College, and that's fine. That's fine. But Silverstream is not Wellington College. And so, to be comfortable with the pick, I think it's comfortable picking Silverstream. And that's probably who I'll pick in that game. Town playing Mana. Town, I think, will win that. Wellington College have a hard one against Wairarapa, and I'll pick Wellington College in that one over Wairarapa. I'll pick... I think St. Bernard's are going to win over Rongotai, which is not something I would have said a couple of weeks ago. I would have been more comfortable in picking Rongotai, but to me, they haven't been playing so well the last few weeks, even in their wins. Tawa and Aotea playing, I'm going with Tawa. That's for the Beard Trophy. The other one is the Willerman Cup for the Silverstream and Scots. That's the Willerman Cup in that one. The Beard Trophy has been played against Tawa and Aotea, and I think Tawa will take that one. Upper Hutt High School with Silverstream, second 15 are going for Upper Hutt. I'll go for Parapara Umu against Wellington College, second 15. I'm going St. Pat's Town over Purerua College. Wainui Mara against Kapiti. I'll go for Kapiti in that one. I'll go with the semi-finals in the Paul Cameron Cup. I'm going with Scots College second 15 over Taita College, and then I'll go with Rongotai second 15 over Nainai College in that one. Down in the UC Championship, number 9 Christchurch Boys over Oldaki. I'll have that one easy. I think that's going to be an easier game. With Nelson losing at the beginning of this week, they're going to struggle again. And they're going to be playing St. Andrews, and I'm going to stay with St. Andrews winning that one over Nelson College. And it's going to be... I think it's going to be a higher scoring game, but I think it's still going to be close. But I'll pick St. Andrews to win that one. Rangiora High School against Lincoln Combined. I'll go with Rangiora with that one. Christ College against Shirley Boys. I kind of think Shirley Boys might win this one and come back and win that one. They're not far off each other. Actually, yeah, I'm going to go with Shirley Boys, even though Christ College is the ranked team. I think Shirley Boys are going to take that one out. St. Bede's are playing Timaru Boys. I think St. Bede's will win that one. I think St. Thomas is going to beat Waimea combined. And Marlborough Boys College is going to win against Mid Canterbury combined. The King's High School versus Otago Boys in their finals is going to be a hard one. It's going to be one that I think is going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be action-packed. It's not going to be a boring game because both teams are really good attacking teams. I think that Kings are going to win. It's going to be a 17-16, 17-15 kind of game. And I feel like Otago is going to be leading most of this game. And then Kings are only going to win it towards the end, like the last 20 minutes of the game, they're going to take the lead. But I think Otago boys are going to lead most of this game. Otago boys have got that confidence from the game that they just had before against them, winning that one, and I still think that they're going to hold it over Kings, and Kings are going to are going to find their voice, find their confidence at the end, and then that's when they're going to um, not take they're going to take the lead, and then they're going to win it from there. But it's going to be something hard. That a lot of those boys from Kings have got to stand up. They've really got to. I think they've got to do a lot better than they have in the past, especially in the past games against the harder teams. Um, I thought that Kings High School game, or that Southland Boys game, was a bit of a wake up call for them, um, and kind of was, but then they failed to beat, Otago Boys, which I think they should have done, not easily, but I think they should have done it. They just, I don't know, it's just one of those things where they just didn't. But that would be one that I would be looking at. Obviously Rohan Wingham is one of the best props in the country. He's one of those guys that is easy to get behind. He leads by example. Not really a talker, but he leads by example. Fatai Koloi, what's his last name? The hooker. He's probably another guy that I'm really watching out for as a year 12, who I think is going to come into his game. And this year has been really big for Ty, and so Fatai is I think, going to grow as a player, and he's going to be such a better player next year when he comes back. Um, Him and Mohonrai, of course, Mohonrai's out for the year, but he's going to be another player that's going to come back next year. He's going to be one of those guys that just goes, I'm just going to dedicate myself to the summer and just get fit, fast, hit the gym, come back stronger. And I think he's going to make his case for New Zealand secondary schools next year. And I think both of them are going to have that kind of conversation in off-season. Both of them should probably train together all off-season. That's the way that I'll do it. And then I'll just aim for New Zealand secondary schools. Jay Davis is another guy that I like that should be playing good. Joji Bully, who's the number 8 for Kings High School, has to have a big game. He has to make those meters that he's used to having, and he can't die with the ball on contact. He has to push through those tackles, especially against a team like Otago Boys. He can't just make contact and go to ground and keep it safe. He has to pump those legs, get through that, and punch through holes, not hit the hole and that's it. He's just going to have one of those games. Steve is going to be stepping up for Mohonrai. Salalea is going to be stepping up. And then him and Nasili Ikahifo, those two, I think, are going to be some of the bigger ball runners in that team. That when they're in the game, they have to have that impact of being big crash ball guys and doing the stuff that Mohonrai is usually doing, and Steve just has to take over that role and make it his own. And the more Steve gets up the field, the more Joji gets running. Same with Fatai as the other one, and Rohan, just hitting those lines and just make it better for their backline. So Ben Paku and Emmanuel and those kind of guys, even with Ryan, or just have that opportunity to attack and just find their gaps. I mean, that's Kings High School just has to do that. They just have to be that team, and I am picking them to win, but it's not going to be an easy one. And it's not going to be an easy one, and I'm not going to be surprised if Otago Boys do win, because they have shown they can beat them, and if they do it again, it's just not one of those things that I'll be surprised at. John McGlashan, I think, are going to win. John McGlashan is back. I don't really have to say it's a disappointing um, season for them because I know what kind of team that they have and how good their players are and that they were ready for this year. Um, but they are back now and they are, I guess, ready to get back into well, it's too late now, but at least finish the season strong. And that's what they're doing now, and they're finishing the season strong. I think they're going to be St. Kevin's, who have had a really good run this year, St. Kevin's. And I'm picking Wakatipu High School to beat South Otago boys as well. So, South Otago High School as well, which is the last game. And yeah, that's going to be it for now. I didn't expect this is going to be an hour long video because I wanted to go through some other sports. Actually, I'm probably going to start doing another podcast with just other sports and just have them separate. Because sometimes I get to the end of these and it's been so long and I talk so much about it because I just want everybody to know how much information there is about first 15 rugby and sort of get people prepared about, what teams are going to go and watch and what to look for, things like that. Um, I mean, I love other sports. Like my Chargers are going to be playing, and I'm so happy that the NFL is back tomorrow or today. Um, Later on this afternoon, where they have the Chiefs and the Texans play. Not that I care about those two teams at all. I don't care that Mahomes is on that team and they're the Super Bowl, champions, all that kind of stuff. Doesn't I don't care. I don't care about those teams. I care about the Chargers. That's really all I care about the Chargers, and then I care about any other Polynesians that play, any Samoans or Tongans that play there. Those are the ones I care about watching it as well. I have my favorites. Obviously, Aaron Donald is going to be some of those guys, and um, I like watching those kind of players. But for the most part, it's just Chargers and then Islanders are the ones that I'm really that keen on watching, and that I'll get behind and watch. And so yeah, we see what happens. Obviously, the Mitre 10 Cup is another one that I want to watch, and I'll probably review a lot of those games as well. Maybe I'll do it on Monday. Maybe Monday and Tuesday will probably be my podcast. Yeah, maybe Monday and Tuesday. If my Monday morning meeting comes out on the Mondays, and then on the Tuesdays I'll have the other sports that I start watching come out as well. Um, Obviously when the season finishes, I'm still going to be podcasting and then talking about sports because I want to talk about all the kids that are coming back to school, all the kids that I think that'll be coming up. I'm going to start looking at my uh, top 60 year 11s for next year as well. Because I mean, we got a few year 10s that are already playing first 15 as well, and so I like to know about those players. If there are some players that are year 10s that you think I should know about, I mean, let me know if they were part of that Super 8 tournament, which I'm going to go through uh, really soon. I'm going to just start reviewing their games and rewatching those games again. Send me guys that I should be watching out for in those Super 8 teams. And then anybody else around the country, any year 10s that you think I should look out for and do my homework on so I can get this top 60 year 10s ready, then let me know. All right. This is Herschel from High School Top 200. Peace.